Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we're going to recap Fight to Win 143. We're going to recap the JitzKing middleweights. We're going to preview Submission Underground 15, who's going to fight Craig Jones, and the Third Coast Grappling Kumite 2. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine. Joined by co-host
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
Doing great, man. I can't believe we're looking at another weekend with like three premier promotions next week. Yeah.
It's, the numbers are higher in Texas than Florida, but we're back, so there's jiu-jitsu to cover. I don't have a ton of news. There's a bunch of cool bracket announcements. There's not honestly been a whole lot else happening this week for news, which for once I'm kind of happy about.
Yeah.
I'm just there's not a ton of Dorino's probably going to fight Woodley now, which is the biggest news.
I saw that, yeah.
And we were going back and forth in the chat, and everyone's like, it's a tough fight for Dorino.
Not Woodley,
Sorry, Usman.
Usman, yeah.
Kamaru Usman. That's a super quick turnaround for him.
I was about to say, yeah, because it's first week in July, or second, it's July 11th, I think, or something like that.
13th or 11th. It was a month away.
Yeah.
Or 5 weeks away. And I was like, you just went 5 rounds with Tyron Woodley, and the number one contender, who is the former world champion, whose last fight was he lost his title.
Right.
And then you're immediately going to fight back because Masvidal was like, I want actually good paying money. I'm not going to fight him.
Right.
And then Dorino was like, I'll fight him for $4.
Yeah.
And the UFC was like,
great.
What's up, Dorino? You're my boy. I love Dorino.
Yeah, Dorino's great.
So it gives us a chance to cover Dorino more. Not really. We cover jiu-jitsu guys in MMA, and so we've been watching Dorino because Dorino's literally until I think probably 4 months ago was active on jiu-jitsu competitions back and forth.
Yeah, basically right up until
before the Woodley fight.
Right up until quarantine, but yeah. I remember us covering him a bunch in back to back
weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
And he pulled out of something and he was on the next one. I think there was 3 weeks in a row where we had him on something every week. And it's to maintain that level of activity in professional jiu-jitsu and then be climbing at the rankings in the UFC and then taking a world title fight in welterweight.
Yeah.
Not some bad division, but versus Usman on 5 weeks notice. He's like, I'll fight him for $4. You're like, I love you, Dorino.
I know.
I hope he does it. That's a tough fight. And they're from the same camp.
Yeah, that should be really interesting to see how they handle that.
Yeah, they're both under Henry Hooft. I watched a bunch of videos with him and Hooft and Tyron Spong. I'm getting in your Dorino storyline. I'm a fan of where this is going.
Yeah, so we saw him against fucking Craig Jones at SUG 10.
Yep.
We saw him against Tommy Langacker in Polaris 12.
Yep.
Marcelo Azevedo at Third Coast, DJ Jackson at Black Belt CBD.
Yeah.
And he won Black Belt CBD. That's fucking.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, dude.
Wasn't that $20,000?
It was a lot.
It was a lot of money.
Yep. So the dude's been fucking active, for in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're taking on. We don't usually cover MMA, but Dorino's my boy, man. I love Dorino.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot wait to. I hope he wins the title. That would be crazy to have a guy in both.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling we won't be seeing much of him if he gets the title, but
probably not. But we see Benson Henderson come back. He's now not a title holder anymore.
Yeah.
Dorino's a guy I can see coming back.
Oh yeah,
like Lovato. Lovato's on MMA now because of brain items, and we're gonna cover him. We're gonna preview him on a matchup this week. Versus Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk.
So I saw a headline about him talking about how he wants to test himself with Hulk, but they've actually set that up.
I think that's this weekend. I think that's this next weekend is Lovato versus Hulk.
Holy shit.
What's up, Emil? Coming in with the news that I didn't
damn.
write down, but I was going to talk about later in segments, so I didn't preview with you beforehand.
Fuck it, man. Jesus, that's fucking awesome.
He was talking about earlier this week, there was an announcement that he was going to go.
Is that a Fight to Win 144?
Yeah, he's going to defend the light heavyweight title, I think in the gi. Damn. Which is crazy. And this is what I talked about last week, where if Lovato can come back and be and contend with,
dude,
does he make another run?
No,
you don't think he does.
If he does, I don't see it being successful.
And that's literally my only piece of news that I had was Lovato versus Hulk, and then I realized it was this week. We're going to preview it anyway.
Right,
dude. I'm so excited to preview that later in the show.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for news. You have any other news?
We're
going to talk about matchups. The SUG bracket is out. Thank you, SUG, for releasing that bracket on Monday before the show. So it was one of those Tuesday morning releases. It's cool. we've already recorded the show, and I can't talk about this bracket now. Please, promotions, please release your brackets on Saturday night, Sunday night, or Monday morning. That would be awesome. Give us time to cover it. Thank you very much. I love covering brackets, so it's been awesome to get the brackets beforehand.
Right.
I got nothing else. You got anything else?
No, that's it, man.
All right, let's move into recap section. You want to start with middleweights for JitzKing, or do you want to start with fight to win 143?
Let's do the middleweights JitzKing, because that was such a fucking stacked bracket,
dude.
And we saw a lot of amazing jiu-jitsu. So why don't we start off with the tournament itself?
Yeah.
How do you want to do it? Why don't we?
So we've done this a lot of different ways in the past. I think with all brackets, it's really hard to go through every single match. It's 16-man. So let's pick up select. Let's talk about results. Let's pick some select matches to talk about and kind of as stopping points.
Sure.
And then just kind of run through it.
Okay. So round of 16. Where do you want to start?
Just start. Get on the list.
All right. So we have Jason Rao defeating JB Betchloff by heel hook.
Called it. Oh, by the way, I March Madness the shit out of this bracket. Mm-hmm. I did pretty well. I was watching it live, yelling at my phone because I was very happy that I know jiu-jitsu well enough to actually pick these things. And my cousin told me, he goes, yo, if you're so good at this, why don't you bet on this? I was like, it's jiu-jitsu. There's
no betting.
Not a whole lot of betting. Like Polaris does bet. I went through the whole scheme of what organizations do betting. He goes, go to Atlantic City, start betting on this. And we need to make a trip in the next year, Emil.
There we go. So next up we have Pedro Mourinho defeating David Garmo by guillotine.
Dude, Pedro has a sick-ass guillotine.
Jesus Christ. Not just a sick-ass guillotine, a fucking guillotine system, right? So we saw him...
I love this matchup because Pedro does so many little things with how he manipulates the front headlock and how he kicks at the feet.
So, it's very clear from the beginning what Pedro's going for here because he starts spamming the guillotine and he's early on switches from a traditional Marcellatine into an arm-in guillotine. Mm-hmm. And both of them look really tight. David has to flop around a lot to extricate himself from those. And eventually David gets caught and gets submitted by guillotine here. What he does is he telegraphs a no-level change single leg. He basically leans forward, and Mourinho snaps his neck up.
I thought it was really interesting here because you saw that Mourinho kind of always had the front headlock available because he was taller than Garmo. Garmo had that really heavy on the front leg stance, and Mourinho stood a little taller up, so he always had the shoulder height above Garmo's head, and he could keep him in the distance that he needed to keep trying for the guillotine over and over and over again. It was just
So you have to watch this highlight because this finishing sequence is so dope. Mourinho gets the front headlock / guillotine, and David has to scramble, and he's able to pop his head out.
There's a full sequence before this, not the finish sequence, the one before this, where Garmo is in deep in a guillotine. I was like, he is gonna get got. And Garmo, to his credit, man, is tough as shit. We've seen Garmo be tough as shit in Quintet and Parabellum. Dude's tough. And finagles his way out of a guillotine. I thought he was done for in. But
so let's go back to the finishing sequence here. What's wild is this again. David shoots a single, gets his head caught in a guillotine, pops his head out, and Mourinho switches to the other arm guillotine, which is you just have to watch the sequence because it's so fucking slick. So Mourinho's basically in top half guard basically, but he has that far arm guillotine in, and he just starts cranking the head, and I was like, damn, that he's generating a lot of force. You can see David's head doing that awful twisting motion when it's really deep. And then I realized it was a fucking single arm guillotine.
Yeah.
He's doing that with a single arm
that I love to set up. And then he does the thing I love the most is with the single arm guillotine, he passes over to mount to finish it.
Yeah.
And this is the exact transition that I absolutely love because the way you have the control, if you lift them up high enough, you have their shoulders up, and so they can't switch their hips out of the way, so you know where their hips are going to be. It's also really hard to basket the leg as someone steps over. So you lift them up like this with one arm. You can actually post out, kind of like rock hold, finish Bisbing with. It's different position, sort of, but the fundamentals are the same. And then you can step over into mount with it.
Kind of like that?
Kind of like, exactly like what's up, Emil, with the screenshots.
Yeah, okay.
And then you step over with it, and it's really hard to actually trap the leg. So it's one of the few times that you can actually just step into mount. Pedro does it. Once you get into mount with that really tight one-arm guillotine, it's all over. Just a beautiful sequence. And because this is something that I incorporate in my own game, it's really cool to see like a high-level guy implemented against another like competitive black belt.
Yeah, so if you are into guillotines, watch this match because you're going to see at least 3 different variations of one, and chained together. Yeah,
the way that he's front headlocking and then he's kicking out the leg in order to get Garmo to change level even lower so he can sink it in. Like the whole system, like you said, it's a whole system. The way that he does it was just like, it was really great to watch, and like there's a method to everything that he's doing and where he's forcing Garmo to put his head, and it was just beautiful work, which is why Pedro wins.
Yeah, exactly. He walks away with it. So William Tackett defeats J.J. Wilson 6-0 in overtime.
Dude, Wilson is a lot tougher than I thought he was going to be. Like, looked good. Tackett was on the back and like dictating where he was, but I figured that Wilson would come in and get submitted because we've seen Wilson. I don't think we've ever covered him, but he's a competitive purple belt in the IBJJF scene. I think he took bronze at Nogi Worlds. Like, he's a very good jiu-jitsu guy. Fights in Bellator, like no slouch, which is partially why he was so tough. But Tackett was really dictating where he was in the match, got on the back for big stretches of the match, and like I was really impressed with both guys here.
Yeah. Next up, we have Roberto Jimenez defeating Yuri Villafort via triangle. God damn, dude.
In my notes, it goes in triangle, in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, so it's less than a minute, flying triangle attempt, and Roberto is basically alternating between like he inverts for what appears to be a arm bar.
It was really similar to the way Gordon beat Kyle Bain. Like that same transition, like that, you have the leg super high on the back of the shoulders, and Jimenez, because he's so long, just makes the adjustment and goes back to the triangle. Like really, really Gordon Ryan-esque here. We saw him do it versus Bo Nickel, and we saw him do it versus Kyle Bain. Like that setup, we're starting to see a ton more.
Like Jimenez is so entertaining. Like he's constantly going for the finish.
I think he probably got money, like extra money for fastest sub. I think JitzKing does pay out for fastest sub.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I read through their rules and their website.
And actually, this is a weird place to pause, but I wanted to talk about this before we started. But their rules are actually interesting because they have a period of
rules, basically.
Yeah, a period of time where there's no points, and then points are allowed, and then if it's tied, you go into overtime.
And it's 6 minutes. Like I'm actually let's talk about that. Maybe pause now and talk about it. I am a big fan of that.
Yeah, me too.
I like the style of action it created. You have guys like Rao or Antaza that wanted to pull, wanted to play from the seated position. It didn't disincentivize them to do so, but in the later rounds of the match, it forced them to wrestle up. And it again, I really like the way that ADCC structures their rules. I feel like it rewards all styles of grappling with an emphasis, with like a greater emphasis on position. Like if you want to give up position, you're totally able to do so and just hunt the legs or hunt for the submissions that you want. But if you are a position first grappler, it gives you an avenue to like do the, in quotes here, the good jiu-jitsu, like the positional dominating top position, top control, back control. And I like this format.
Yeah.
And the overtimes I think worked. Some of them are a little longer, from a viewer perspective, but that's more so like the kind of grappler that you have on your event. It was good. I was a big fan of it.
Yeah. Next up, we have BB Monstro defeating Johnny Tama 2-0 in overtime.
Dude, Tama dealt with the size discrepancy well here. I was super impressed with his ability to kind of stop BB Monster's passing attempts, and basically it goes into overtime, and you can see that Tama is like definitely a little more tired because he's had to kind of stave off the passing attempts over and over and over again, and Monstro's tired as well, but Monstro does one of my favorite takedowns. He reaches out, he taps on the head, and Tama kind of has a far-leaning stance. He taps on the head, Tama kind of brings his head, like reacts a teeny bit, and Monster just comes in with this beautiful blast double, like trails it, and keeps like grabbing it through and gets the takedown. It's just like, again, wrestling is important, and this will come up later in our coverage of this event. I think we're really starting to see a shift in Nogi meta that guys are prioritizing like leg defense and wrestling.
Yeah.
Like we have seen way more dynamism in the last like 2 years, like 18 months than ever before in wrestling, in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Next up, we have John Combs defeating Jake Watson by guillotine.
Dude, another tight guillotine. I love that in kind of contrasting to Pedro's style, you see that John grabs the guillotine, and then he's a smaller guy. Like, again, he's outsized by Watson a little bit here. Watson's a much longer dude, and Watson is doing a very similar defense that we saw earlier, but Combs actually follows with his body like a lot more quickly than Pedro will, because he's like, his style of guillotine is a lot more like, it will follow you. I don't really know how to put that into words. It's just cool to see the two contrasting kind of styles of guillotine on display here. Again, looked really good. There's a lot of curse words on my notes because it's a guillotine match, and I got really excited. I just love how Combs hangs off the neck here, and like he maintains that grip on the chin no matter where you're gonna go. He'll pass the north-south, and then he'll continue to wrap you back up in the guillotine. It's like really great positional work with the neck. Next match. Who's your place? Benji Silva defeats Alan Sanchez via the referee's decision. Final match of the first round. We got Oliver Taza defeating Gabriel Castro by knee bar. This reminded me of the Herber Santos knee bar a little bit. That 50-50 knee bar that he hits a lot on guys. Again, the setup is different, but Taza's there. He maintains it, and then Castro goes to sort of turn, and Taza gets behind him with his legs and just finishes a really great knee bar. Really, really great camera angle here for the knee bar, too. It's like directly so you can see the transition of Taza's legs. You know, beautiful knee bar. And I think I called every round in the first round, by the way, for this one. So I'm just saying, like, that's pretty good. That's been pretty good March Madness. How often you get out of the first round completely and pick everyone? Second round breaks down a little bit. But,
I was about to say, hey, didn't you have Rao?
Maybe I had
finals?
Rao beating Mourinho.
Yep. So quarterfinals, Pedro Mourinho defeats Jason Rao 3-0.
Yeah, Pedro's active. Like, he wins this one on activity, and then he, at the end, he has a crazy good pass. Rao goes to invert for, like, a knee bar, and Pedro just basically has, like, the Kasich Atame grip, but, like, he's just crushed in on almost like a leg drag and just, like, very slowly just pushes Rao's legs down and just, like, spins out to the side with this, like, super dope, like, old-school Kasich Atame grip. Kind of reminded me of, Lister and Barnett a little bit, like not quite, not the same, but it reminded me of that style of just like sliding past the legs and getting there. He gets the points, he takes the win. But dude, he pushed a pace this entire match. I was
the entire tournament, man.
Yeah, I'm really I leave here again really impressed with all of what Mourinho can do.
Yep. Next round we have Roberto Jimenez defeating William Tackett 3-0. This was an awesome match. Tackett does a bunch of inversions for saddle attacks, and Roberto's hip to it and does amazing roll-throughs to threaten the back, and like you can just see them going through these exchanges.
I think that's what Roberto was looking for, like, completely, because he sat in some of these leg positions for much longer than I expected him to. And
there were certain positions where he was caught in a leg entanglement, a dangerous leg entanglement. And I don't think he was honestly, it seemed like I don't know if he had plan Bs after that. It seemed like he was waiting
to defend.
Right.
Kind of. And it was kind of strange because we've seen, again, we're super hot on Roberto. We're big fans of him.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he let Tackett get really deep on some stuff and then wasn't taking the back, wasn't pulling out, wasn't doing what we traditionally see.
The first couple times, like for example, this like rolling exchange that they have, Roberto does eventually land on top, get head control, and he's not able to completely sprawl out, but like he's able to make Tackett look really uncomfortable and establish his base to the point where he's no longer in danger. Then this happens again, and Tackett is persistent and is able to get into a Texas cloverleaf even.
For like a good amount of time.
A good amount. Like I didn't count, but it was the better part of a minute, if not more. To the point where there were like moments where, it felt like Roberto was watching, like just passively watching.
I didn't know if he was going to try to counter, but like he wasn't in those places, he wasn't doing a lot of what we traditionally see. And I'm not sure if like he wasn't worried about it, but again, we know he will tap to leg locks. Like we see it in the following round here with Pedro. So it was just this is a weird match, and I'm not sure exactly what to take away from this match from both guys. Again, Williams' entries looked really good. He kind of looked a little hesitant to like pull the trigger.
It did look like he was also waiting and watching. Yeah. So there were weird moments where like Tackett's has Roberto's leg tied up in a Texas cloverleaf, which Maine has talked about
I love that sub.
a lot.
I love that sub so much.
And it's such a dangerous attack because there's so many options there.
You have like 3 readily apparent options. You have like that calf crush on the opposite leg.
Yeah, the
you
inside
have the
heel hook,
and you can spin it over and like
toe hold. Yep. Yeah,
or you can spin it to the other side and have the heel hook on the other side too. Like there's just so many places it can go, and it's a really tough spot to be in. And Jimenez sat there for a while, and there's not a whole lot of really great counters off there, and so that's why I was kind of like wondering what Tackett. Again, this is probably. We're covering guys that are far better than us at actual jiu-jitsu.
So there's probably like
there's something I'm not
things,
seeing here, obviously. So I'm going to back and actually watch this particular section of this match again because I'm super curious. I actually probably will reach out to both guys and like pick their brain. Like, hey, what are you doing here? Like, what are you seeing? What was going through your head here so that we can, talk about it on the show.
Right.
But yeah, it was a really interesting match. And I was really surprised about kind of how the leg exchange went.
So Jimenez was able to eventually get out, and with 20 seconds left, he launches into a ridiculous knee slice pass.
Right off the reset, too.
Yeah,
like,
off of the reset.
Plans it, like, dude, he's a high-level competitor.
Yep.
And so is Tackett. Like, I love both these guys. Reset happens. Roberto just slides by immediately as the ref says
gets in north-south and gets the points.
It's like 15 seconds left.
Yeah.
15 or 13. I think the points were called at like 12.
Yeah.
Like right towards the end of the match, and it had been even. So, yeah, good match. Definitely one to go back and watch. Again, considering these two guys it's hard to call Roberto a prospect anymore. Or like even Tackett a prospect. Like,
well, Tackett's still a prospect, but Roberto is...
Big quotes there.
I mean...
You're a main card guy. Like, are you really a prospect still?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, Roberto has won big stuff on the main stage at black belt.
On the international tournament stage, yeah.
Tackett is, don't get me wrong, I think Tackett's
a
ceiling
murderous
is like
brown belt.
Fucking gigantic, but
80cc alternate.
Yeah.
Weighed in alternate for 2019. Like, both these dudes we're going to see a lot more of.
So, next up we have Valdir Araujo, that's BB Monstro, defeating John Combs 4-2.
Dude, wrestling is important. Mm-hmm. Like, we see a really great outside single from Combs that BB Monstro, like, I gotta figure out what the name of the term for is. It's a wrestling reversal, and it's like that. It's that I call it like the fuck you headlock throw. It's where you reach over the guy and you just like reverse the pick halfway through. And every wrestler that listens to the show is gonna hate me for I have no idea what this is called. But it's basically these guys trade takedowns, and Baby Monstro hits a great blast double and takes the match, 4-2 on takedowns. Wrestling is super important in the no-gi setting.
Next up, we have Oliver Taza defeating Benji Silva via heel hook. On to the semifinals. Pedro Mourinho defeats Roberto Jimenez via heel hook.
Quick match, too.
Jesus, it's fast. Basically, Roberto gets a body lock takedown, and Pedro inverts and Granby rolls into the saddle position. And this is where Roberto, kind of rolls to his butt, and he has both of his hands on the mat for a little bit.
Which is, we will see like guys like Gordon Ryan do this when they try to do back. Like we saw, this is what very similar to what we saw Gordon do versus Kyle. Kyle inverted for the leg, tried to go to the saddle. Gordon sat back, got both hands up, and then immediately started like pathing to the back. I think
the difference was that Gordon had cleared his knee line, and it's obvious that had not occurred here. So it was, it was just. It was very peculiar, but it's a very quick tap.
Dude, the sequence here is beautiful. So if you see the highlight that Flo posted on this, basically it's Jimenez gets behind Pedro, just slams down to the mat, and then Pedro is the first comment on the Flo thread. He goes, I ate that with my neck or something like that. And you watch the throw, like Pedro eats like 90% of the throw with like his face and neck.
Yep.
And it was like, Jesus, they didn't have the wherewithal to roll through and like snatch the heel hook. It's a really beautiful sequence here.
Yep.
Go back again. If you have Instagram, which you probably do, watch the highlight, watch the match. It's like
it's dope.
It's such a cool sequence.
Next up, we have Oliver Taza defeating BB Monstro via ref's decision.
Super tentative match, back and forth. Both guys wanted to play their game, and it was just, it was very touchy.
A lot of Taza inverting and getting to deep inside heel hook saddle positions, and then chaining, to like different leg attacks. And just BB Monstro having to react to that, and that's more or less how it went.
There was no scoring positions,
right?
So it was like you go for those. It's kind of that leg locker meta from like 2016, where it's like you submit the guy or you lose the decision,
right?
And it's like it's tough.
Yep. In the finals, we have Pedro Mourinho defeating Oliver Taza 2-0. So there's 3 minutes of stand up, and then Pedro hits a low blast double, and it
beautiful.
It was just like
it was
lightning fast. And Taza, to his credit, bounced up fairly quickly, but it was just a hair too late by the ref who awarded the points.
And I did honestly like that JitzKing was awarding points like a little quick.
Yeah.
Like I appreciated that because I find that when I got all the guys figure out points are coming a little quick, they will take more risks, they will be more active, and it's like you don't want to get scored on because the ref's not going to long count you for 5. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, and there's your points. And so I find that it's a little reffing thing that I find makes tournaments and matches significantly more exciting. So again, I was a big fan that they were quick on the points when appropriate.
Yeah. And basically that's the deciding factor in it.
Yeah. Wrestling is important.
Yep.
Like that's what we learned from JitzKing and ADCC, honestly, is wrestling is important. Again, they used a very similar ADCC format with their rule set. If you can score those 2 points, if you can dictate where the match happens on the feet, I think the biggest scoring match was 4-2. Combs versus BB Monstro. And that was a 4-2 match.
Yep.
Two takedowns from BB Monstro, 1 takedown from Combs. These matches are won on guard passes and little things. So if you can dictate in the wrestling, on the stand-up where stuff happens, you see it here with Mourinho. He wins $5,000 because he has good jiu-jitsu takedowns.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Big fan of it. We saw the younger Tackett as well on this card.
Both younger Tacketts, yeah. So in the super fights, we have Caleb Tackett defeating Tristan Sains 5-2.
Close match. It was a good match.
Sofia Delgado defeating Alana Delva 2-0 in overtime. Corbin Sains defeating Tony Torres by knee bar. Andrew Tackett defeating Caio Matias by armbar. Rafael Cadena versus Orlando Castillo 2-0 in double overtime. And Cody Steele defeating Mauricio Gomez 2-0 in overtime.
Dude, again, Steele looking good in this match. Tough match with Mauricio, but dictates, looks good. All the Texas guys came out for this one. Good tournament, a lot of fun. The full thing's up on Flow Grappling. I think they've gotten most of the individual videos up. I think there's probably 4 that aren't up at the time of this recording. They should be up by the time everything the show comes out. So go back and watch it. There's a lot of really fun matches. There's a couple of them that I'm going to go back and rewatch for particular pieces. I want to see the Taza knee bar again. That was such a cool sequence, and I want to watch the Tackett and Roberto kind of leg lock back and forth, just because it's I want to understand the meta of what was happening there a little better.
Right.
Great tournament, a lot of fun. You want to take a break or want to move to the next segment immediately?
Let's do it.
All right, let's move on to our recap of Fight to Win 143 that took place in Dallas, Texas. This one was headlined by black belt Victor Hugo defeating Felipe Andra via triangle and submission. That was submission night for the black belts. He becomes the super heavyweight champion for Fight to Win, moving up the weight class.
Huge win. Of course, and the commentators talked about it, Felipe Andro was the one who submitted Keenan for the first time at black belt.
That is in the gi. It's the first time in the gi.
In the gi,
because Gordon's done it twice in no gi, but literally the only person ever to submit Keenan in the gi is that flash triangle at the Euros.
Yep.
And
Hugo's
good.
This is so good. I mean, this is a short match too, and Victor has an awesome end sequence here. So
even the Omoplata sweep was good.
Yeah.
The way he sets it up from the bottom, he just knocks him over. And the commentator talked about that. He does that in no-gi too. He just has a really great sequence for getting on top. And you talk about, I'm not going to cut you off. You talk about the ending sequence here.
Yeah, I mean, Victor's guard work is tremendous. But Victor's passing, and he goes for a very traditional looking Toreando pass, and he has stepped around to the side, and at this point Felipe is beginning to post out and roll in order to kind of Granby and regard, and Victor just snatches the near side arm and goes into a ridiculous flying armbar.
Like, you heard him on the mat when he hit, just went, so slam. And
I mean,
I went like
straight up
Jesus.
flying, like completely off the mat.
This reminded me of the Hulk versus Jimenez armbar. It was that same thing where he just jumps over and just launches into it. And I think guys are starting to realize that the fight to win mats are pretty forgiving, and you can go for these big flying arm bars and not get knocked out.
So, there's moments where Victor is like improvising an arm bar, and then he just locks in a straight up and down triangle and, makes the adjustment and boom, gets the tap. It was ridiculous. I love this chaining of the Toriando pass into the flying armbar. We generally, we're taught do the Toriando pass and settle, but this was great because not only is grabbing that arm, setting you up to launch into the submission, it's also preventing your opponent from turning. That was the real slick part.
We're going to start seeing more of this. I think isn't this what Davi Ramos hit Lepre with at ADCC?
I cannot
years
remember.
Ago. I forget whoever Davi, very similar. We're starting to see these jump over arm bars more frequently.
Right.
And I feel like because guys it's just, this is a move I think we're going to see more and more of because we've seen a couple of them in the last 4 months.
Right.
It's just something I think it's in the current meta with the way that guys Granby, with the way that guys post their hands up to stop the passing work.
Exactly.
I just feel like we're going to start to, because again, what we're seeing more now than anything is those jumping guard passes around the side.
Yep.
Like the off balance, no one really, not no one. It's very rare to see someone sit and try to break the closed guard. Like most of the passing happens on the feet from range at Toriando distance, especially in the gi. You do not want to be in someone's guard.
And particularly when you're talking about Toriando passes and open guard passing, when people are open guard regarding, they are relying on their hands to post out and maintain distance. So why not use that as a liability, and use that to your advantage, right? And that's what we're seeing here. So it's a dope sequence.
It's another thing. It's not super high risk either. So it's you fail it, cool, you come back up, you're probably still on top. Maybe they stand back on the feet, and then probably somebody's going to pull because it's, the modern game of jiu-jitsu. Again, it's super heavyweight. They may not pull again, but again, really interesting. I feel like this is going to be a turning point. We're going to see more and more of these as a viable strategy to get around the guard.
Yeah, definitely.
And you can also pull the arm in too. It works for a bunch of different ways.
I think even, exactly as you said, just pulling the arm, being able to prevent that roll to regard is,
especially in the gi, it's you have that fabric and you pull them up, and it works for so many reasons. And I feel like guys are just going to get more and more confident with having that, and then it ends up in the triangle.
Yep.
It puts you in a good spot because Andrew does a great job of defending this for a time. He does the shoulder movement, he gets out, he pulls out, but Hugo has that arm grip. Pulls him in, readjusts, and gets the triangle. So again, it works in combination.
Yep.
Really, really beautiful sequence.
Yep.
It's quick too, a couple minutes.
Yep. Next up, we have Nathalie DeJesus defeating Ana Carolina Vieira via split decision.
And she retains the fight to win welterweight title for the ladies in the gi.
So this was a pensive match. Both players were, definitely felt like they were feeling each other out for a while, but in the end, Nathalie goes for toe hold with 35 seconds.
That's the exact thing I have in my notes. It's it was a more
straight ankle.
I was like the commentators. I was kind of surprised that Ana Carolina pulled instead of Natalie, because for the same reasons that they said. I figured that Ana Carolina is more confident in her passing game. Again, Natalie's a little bigger, but Natalie is known for her guard work. I figured that Natalie would pull and Ana Carolina would pass, but it was really interesting to see Ana work from the bottom here. But again, Natalie, it was very, very close. Lots of very, I want this grip. This is what I want to work with. You want this grip, and they kind of mirrored grips back and forth and exchanging of grips.
Right.
And then the toe hold at the end is really the biggest, definitely the most significant
action
submission attempt. And Natalie, you see her face, she's selling it. I don't really think either of the toe hold or the straight ankle at the end were close to finishing. But again, you score on fight to win rule set where you have a submission attempt And if that is the greatest thing that happens in the match, that's how the match gets scored.
Yep.
Know the rule set. So she gets it done.
Yep. Next up, we have Elizabeth Clay defeating Kendall Rusing via split decision.
That was fight of the night for the black belts. Again, it's kind of funny because Elizabeth is a brown belt still, but she's competes against black belt. She was the trials winner for ADCC at the plus 60 kilogram. I think plus 60 kilogram division. I think for West Coast trials last year.
Can't remember. Well, there's only one.
Right, so it had to be West Coast.
Yeah,
and I thought it was last year.
Yeah, I guess. I can't remember.
I think also these women have fought each other before. I want to say at the 2017 West Coast trials, they had a match against each other, and I thought that Kendall took that one, but I think I watched it when I did the preview for Kendall versus Gabby Garcia, which leads me to my next question. Now that Clay took this match, do you give her to Gabby Garcia? Not give her to, do you match her up with Gabby Garcia? Because Gabby just defeated Kendall. Elizabeth is now on a multiple fight win streak on Who's Number One and on Fight to Win. Although she's a brown belt, she's a top level women's plus 60 no-gi competitor. It theoretically is one of the matches to make at the division now.
Yeah, it's hard to say. This was it's an amazing back and forth match, but I don't know what is next. How you. Because, Gabby Garcia is
a different animal.
Yeah.
She's the 4-time ADCC champion every year except 2015.
Right.
Really, really good. I'm curious to see if Garcia would allow Clay to enter into the legs as much as Clay likes to enter. That's what we know Elizabeth Clay for, is her dynamic entries into the legs and the way that she controls
really
and
savvy guard work too.
Yeah.
That's hard to implement against Gabby.
Right, because Gabby will tend to just Gabby approaches it in a really interesting way though. She kind of pressures you down and very slowly collapses your frames just with time. Gabby is happy to work for 10 minutes to get.
She has an amazing gas tank. So
yeah.
I think relying on that is it's a dangerous proposition. So
I'm kind of interested in the matchup now. Again, I'm not sure who else you would give Garcia and the gi. I think Elizabeth now on a couple fight win streak, looks good in the division, took a split decision victory over Kendall here, but shows dynamic entries into the legs.
And this match was extremely exhilarating. There's a lot of stuff back and forth. Kendall with a Darce and a Steama lock. Elizabeth ending with toe hold, switching legs.
Yeah.
Ends in a double toe hold. This match is phenomenal. Definitely fight of the night. Next up we have Andre Gomez defeating Mike Anderson via armbar. Eric Raposo defeating Danilo Moreira by decision. Carlos Souza defeating Vinicius Cavallo Garcia via split decision. Diego Santana de Espirito Santo defeats Hugo Mayer Lima via toe hold. Vinny Sainz defeats Esteban Martinez via decision. Alejandro Siqueira defeats Jay Shellhammer via decision.
On to the brown belt results. Dude, you've gotten so much better at the names. I remember back when we first, when you came on as the primary, second primary co-host, It was rough. But now it's you beat the shit out of me for the names.
Kyle Short defeats Ben Krosky via heel hook. Jared Trotter defeats Albert Tapia via decision. Italo Lima Costa defeats Lucas Norat via decision.
And that was Friday night for the brown belts.
Dustin Shellhammer defeats Noel Morgan via decision. Frank Cespedes defeats Brian Alvarado via decision. Jennifer Rivera defeats Carla Shellhammer via armbar.
And that was submission of the night for the brown belts. All the Shellhammers are on the card tonight.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yep.
On the purple belts, Matt Cox defeats Tarian Byers via decision.
And it retains the middleweight no-gi title for the purple belts.
David Weintraub defeats Jacob Scott via heel hook. Emily Fernandez defeats Brian Robertson via split decision.
And that was Friday night for the purple belts.
Leticia Cardoza de Carvalho defeats Catherine Arnold via decision. Anthony Robinson defeats Colby Caps via rear naked choke. Wesley Arnold defeats Adam Cruz via choke.
And that was submission of the night for the purple belts.
Kids and teens, Michael Brennan defeats Michael Francis via decision.
Fight of the night for the kids and teens.
And Helena Crevar defeats Michelle Terralong via choke.
And that was submission of the night for the kids and teens. Again, really great card. A lot of fun this weekend. You got any other kind of closing thoughts on the card? I'm interested to see where we take some of these matchups now. Again, Andrew, Hugo, Natalie, Anna, Elizabeth, Kendall. They're all we see him frequently on Fight to Win. I'm curious to see like where they go from here. The more we do this, the more I'm interested in like the league format of like where people are in the rankings of the league. Oh, new rankings for Full Grappling out this week. I have not got a chance to parse through them yet, but they're always really good. So I'm curious to see since March, because there's not been a new one since March, what the rankings look like.
Let's see. Last updated, yesterday.
Yeah, so just yesterday. So again, I haven't got a chance to go through them. It'll take a long time to do it on the show, but
I'm taking a look.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm super curious because I have not got a chance to look. So by the time this comes out, I'll have looked at it, and I will have next week a bunch of like matchups I want to see now. Like I want to see this matchup again. It's been 6 months, or it's been 8 months, or it's been 2 years. You know, I want to see it. So I got nothing else for Fight to Win. You have anything else? Any sort of closing thoughts as you parse through the rankings now?
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know about this. So for example, one change at heavyweight is Kainan Duarte is now number 1. He was previously unranked. And
Wait,
basically
when?
everyone
Why?
else. I don't
Did they take him off suspension? Maybe?
I have no idea. I have no clue.
Oh, he would be off suspension now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, his suspension's done because we missed Worlds this week because coronavirus sucks.
Oh, right.
So it's been a year since his suspension. I think it was July.
That's right. It was retroactive.
Yeah. So
and previously, Rafael Lovato Jr. was unranked. He is now ranked
in the
at
gi
number
or no gi?
8. This is just gi.
In the gi. Okay, so he's back.
Yep.
So again, I want to see you fight top 10 guys. Hulk is probably a top 10 guy in the gi. It's a reasonable fight to make. Super excited about it.
Yeah. So those are the 2 big changes at heavyweight. Let's see. Super heavyweight, no changes. Yeah, so it seems like really just the heavyweight got updated. Let me see. I'm not seeing any other.
All of them. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't got a chance to parse through to see if there's like major changes or not.
Well, they list previous, and there's a little bit of movement at middleweight. Gabriel Almeida went up.
Okay.
Jake Watson went down. Hudson Mateus went down as well. But yeah, so not like huge, tectonic shifts.
Again, we haven't since March. There's been like not that many events because everything's been closed. So it makes sense that there's not been a ton of movement since then. Any closing thoughts?
Nope. Oh, sorry, that was medium heavyweight. Yeah, but anyway, that's it.
Let's move into the preview section. So moving into the preview section, we got a gang of previews lined up here. We got Fight to Win 144. We got SUG 15? Yeah, 15. And Third Coast Grappling Kumite 3. We're going to start with Emil.
Let's start with 144.
Fight to Win, it's on Friday. So Fight to Win 144 takes place in Dallas, Texas on June 19th, headlined by 205-pound black belt gi title. Rafael Lovato Jr., almost did it again, versus Lucas the Hulk Barbosa. We're seeing Rafael take on
goddamn huge
a current active top of the food chain gi dude.
Yep.
At the weight like where Lovato would be at. What do you think? How do you think this goes?
It's hard for me. It's tough for me to call. I do know that if Hulk loses to Lovato Jr., he's going to be getting his ass whooped back to back by old men.
Oh, I forgot about that. Man, Rafael's not that old. I think he's 36 or 38. I think he's 38. I mean, in jiu-jitsu and fight years, that's
a lot.
Super old, but
no, it's hard to tell. Like Hulk is fucking amazing. Like
when Lucas posted a video of him rolling with Izaki Bahintz that was intense, like a month ago, and it was like, oh, these top level guys are training hard. It's like in a little like a garage basement thing with mats. It was like they were going at it in this little space, and I went, oh, these guys are training hard as shit still. Like there's been no letting off the gas.
So I mean, I think what I will say, I'm pretty confident that we'll be seeing Rafael play guard against Hulk's passing. Like, maybe he could try to stand with him for a while, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna play guard. I feel like Hulk's gonna be passing here again. I kind of want to favor Hulk in the gi. We've seen again. Lovato has taken like some time off from the gi. It's been almost 3 years before his last match versus Maidana. Hulk has just been more active, and it's like, again, I'm a huge Lovato fan. Like, I like his game. I like Hulk's game too because it's like awesome to watch. But I want to favor him in here because we have to make a pick because he's just been more active in the gi recently.
Yep.
That's kind of where I want to point to.
No, I agree.
So it's one of those like either would not surprise me in the slightest. Like Lovato, walking up, passing positionally, getting to the top, getting out, X choke from out, like. It wouldn't be crazy loop choke. I can see Lovato's pathway to victory. I can see Hulk's pathway to victory too. Just like,
I mean, like you say that you can see Raphael's. Like, how would you see Raphael winning that?
the same way he always wins. Like he does what he does. Like he gets on top of you, he passes your guard, he takes that cross side to mount, he gets to mount.
You think he's gonna do that to Hulk?
I don't think he is, but I'm saying if he does, like if anyone can do it. If anyone can like come off from a couple years of not consistently competing in the gi and do it, like I'm gonna pick Hodger, I'm gonna pick Lovato, I'm gonna pick a guy like Cyborg, like the guys that can just throw it back on and still compete at that level. Like I don't really want to pick against either of these guys because they're both so stupid good, and so you don't win world titles and not have that something special there in it.
Yep.
I think. That's my pathway to victory for Lovato. I don't know if he can implement that versus Hulk. I think Hulk's going to be savvy to it. I think Hulk is much more explosive. And I'm curious to see how Lovato deals with the explosiveness of Hulk and his passing. Because I do think that Hulk will be the passer here.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain because Lovato is such a position first guy. If he's going to be able to get to a place on Hulk where he can start like implementing submissions, or if Hulk's just going to be throwing stuff and rack up more submission. It's a really, really compelling matchup. Like just like from a game perspective, like I
don't see Hulk throwing up that many submission attempts.
He doesn't, but he'll throw up a couple a match that are like flash subs, and in the fight to win rule sets, like that plays much more than another rule set.
I believe me, I understand the rule sets. I'm just saying, like,
we've covered 100 of my understanding.
Hulk is not. Both of these guys, to me, are control first, and so it'll be real interesting to see how that plays out. But.
Yeah. Do you want to make a pick or no?
I mean, I'm also picking Hulk.
Okay.
Because he's just the man.
Co-main event. Also some fire shit.
Yep. 130-pound black belt no-gi title match. Nathalie Ribeiro versus Talita Alencar.
Dude, we haven't seen Talita in a little bit, but I'm excited for this matchup. Like, Talita comes out of the gate guns blazing.
Yeah.
Again, I think we're going to see her as the passer on top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. I feel like this is going to be a close decision match. I think Ribeiro is going to like stop a lot of the guard passing there. I don't feel like this will be contested too heavily on the feet, but we have seen Talita play like long stretches of her matches at Fight to Win and at Polaris on the feet. So again, it wouldn't surprise me to see this match, 10-minute match, be like 6 or 8 minutes on the feet, and then you have like a couple pieces here and there. It's a really hard match to score.
Yeah,
like that's kind of how I see this match going. It's kind of how a lot of Talita's matches go. Is she just pushes such a hard pace at the beginning, and then tends to kind of ease off the gas towards the end of the match, and it makes it really difficult to score.
Yep.
So
yeah, absolutely. That's tough. Next up, we have 170-pound. 5-pound black belt gi match. Jonathan Gracie versus Edwin Najmi. Damn, dude.
We're going to see Jonathan's back-to-back days.
Yeah.
We're going to see him on Third Coast on the 20th and Fight to Win in Dallas the day before on the 19th.
Yeah, I think I have to pick Edwin on this one, though.
Dude, Edwin's look good.
Yep.
Like Fight to Win, he's looked good recently. Who did he triangle? He triangled someone recently.
He just triangled a piss out of somebody. I can't remember who it was.
A couple. I mean, it's Najmi. It's like if anyone is gonna flying triangle you into oblivion, it's gonna be Najmi. But again, John just on the come up looks good. I just feel like again I hate picking against Najmi recently because he's just trying to sub dudes.
Yeah, and like we've seen Jonathan compete a lot in no-gi recently.
Yeah.
Basically going all the way back into 2019.
I think I don't know if we actually covered him in the gi. I think we've only covered him no-gi. He's had a couple close matches of Fight to Win.
Yeah, let's see. So he was, take that back. He was at Euros. He was in Euros.
Oh,
he won. He won his division at Euros in the gi.
My bad. That was some dumb shit I said.
No, that's my fault. I would completely ignore that for whatever reason. But yeah, gi match. Yeah, I see Edwin controlling this, and especially
just in the rule set, like he throws.
Exactly.
Najmi will throw like 3 or 4 solid submission attempts a match.
flashy ones too.
Yeah, like high scoring
ones that are like impossible to miss.
Right, to not score. It's like, I was a close to holder. It's like, or Najmi threw a flying triangle at the guy, and then the guy had to like pull out. It's like, yeah, was it close to submitting him? No, but it wasn't like it was a flying triangle that Edwin Najmi threw. Oh, Benson Henderson.
Right.
He just fought Benson. That's who it was. Yeah, so that's a good match. Again, Jonas has the skills to get it done. Like winning Euros, one of the toughest tournaments in the world in the gi, no joke. But
yeah,
Najmi got the style.
I'm taking Najmi on this one. 200-pound black belt no gi match: Andrew Wiltz versus Isaiah Wright. 200-pound black belt gi match: Brett Oteri versus Raphael Lang. 150-pound black belt gi match: Aaron Brooks versus Jordan Burton III.
Is Aaron only 150 pounds? Jeez, we've covered Aaron a bunch. He won Sub Spectrum a while back. He has wins on Kasai. He has wins, like, we cover Aaron not on He's another guy that I can see turning a corner this year and start getting a lot of like main card slots, just because he has a super aggressive game and he will hunt the legs hard and he finishes fast.
Yeah, 225-pound black belt no-gi match: Joe Bays versus Don Westman.
Another super like proficient leg locker, Bays. We cover him mostly on SUG, sometimes on Fight to Win, but again, another dude looking to invert, go for the heel hooks.
230-pound black belt gi match: Kenny Cross versus Stephan Hall. 175-pound black belt no-gi match: Angel Lopez versus Bobby Emmons.
I feel like we've covered these two guys so many times on Fight to Win. I feel like they've fought before on Fight to Win. I don't know why I think that, but they're usually, we feature on the same cards on Fight to Win a lot.
150-pound black belt gi match: Felipe Matos versus Bruno Jacaré Diaz.
And the last match, 175 black belt gi match: Caio Quintero versus Renad Mutliab. I don't think we've covered Renad a ton. I think we usually see him on the Korean events, if I have that correct. So again, super stack card, a lot of fun. Want to move right into the Kumite?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the following day, we have event Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have the Third Coast Grappling Kumite 2. This one is stacked. We have a bracket for this one. Thank you, Ryan, for that. I appreciate it a lot. It's awesome. First round matchup: Gustavo Batista, the winner of the Kumite 1, versus Tanner Rice. Tanner the Ginger Rice.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking Batista in that match.
Are you going to go with a favorite that won the last event that knows the rule set well and plays it well?
Yes, absolutely.
Again, Tanner's good. We see him a lot, but dude, Gustavo.
Yeah,
dude, like 2 weeks. Like, when was the last one? A couple weeks ago. He looked otherworldly.
Yeah.
I can't pick against him.
Yep. Next up, we have Jake Watson versus
Felipe Andrew.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of the same guys. Like,
did these guys fight to win like a couple weeks ago? No. Watson fought someone else. This is a fun one. We just saw Watson this week. I think this is in the gi. So
yeah,
makes you kind of wonder. I kind of want to favor Andrew here.
Yep.
Again, Watson has the tools to get it done. We've seen Watson upset a lot of guys recently. Like his upset over Rolando was really good. If he implements his gi game how he could here, like this could be a really tough match for Andrew. But I just feel like Andrew's style lends itself towards scoring and like staying up on points.
Right.
So that's the first. That's the side A of the bracket. Side B of the bracket, we got your boy
Victor Hugo versus Ricardo Evangelista.
I'm not picking against Hugo.
Yeah, no.
After the flash subs of recent with him and like the Nibar win over Cyborg and this weekend,
he's
like
on fire for sure.
Not picking against him.
And which Gracie is that?
Jonatas.
That's Jonatas as well.
I hope it is. I'm not just like does he have the neck tattoo?
I can't tell.
I think it's Jonatas Gracie. It's got to be Jonatas Gracie.
They just have the last names on here, so
yeah.
When you have Gracie, it's maybe a little ambiguous which one you're talking about exactly.
Which Gracie?
Yeah, and then he's going up against Pedro Mourinho. Jesus.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? The
This Kumite is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's just like where do you go? Like who do you pick? So I'm gonna go with Mourinho here because he's on fire. Like again, guys on streaks. I hate betting against guys on streaks.
He has a streak of 1.
Yeah, he won JitzKing.
Yeah, and he got armbarred the week before by Roberto Jimenez.
All right, streak of 1.
Yeah.
3 matches in a row. And you beat the guy that armbarred you.
Yep.
Like, in Nogi.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we're going to get Hugo. We're going to get Hugo and Mourinho on the first side of bracket B.
That's going to be hot fire.
That's one of the matches I'm most excited about.
Yep.
I think potentially we can get Andrew and Batista.
Yeah, Felipe Andrew versus.
Again, you can't pick against Batista. So I think we may get. So okay, you got Batista, you got Hugo, you got Mourinho as like your top seed that you're potentially going to see in the finals match. Yeah. Again, I really have a hard time picking like Hugo versus Mourinho. I kind of want to go Hugo. I feel like
I've seen more of Hugo's matches
against like a higher caliber of guy consistently. So it's like by the numbers, again, it's hard to pick against the competitive top level black belt. Again, Mourinho's looked phenomenal, but I just feel like in the point setting, like Mourinho really favors is like getting your neck and choking life out of you.
I would feel comfortable, picking Hugo to win that.
So you probably got Hugo versus Batista.
I'm picking Batista.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to say really like super hard, and then like now in my head I'm going, I don't.
Dude, when you have won a world championship, like you're the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're the shit. And
he's very, very, very good. I mean, again, everyone in this bracket is really good. That's why I've kind of made my picks flagrantly because I've been looking at the bracket for like 2 weeks,
right?
And like thinking about like maybe this is gonna happen, maybe this is gonna happen. Again, I love getting brackets in advance where it's not like week of here's the bracket. Like I love that like Third Coast guys release the brackets early so I can think about it and like make a case in my head.
High level names that Batista has taken out is like it's huge. So
number of high level guys that Hugo has submitted is big.
Not really.
I mean,
like, yeah, so he has...
I mean, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit here to like justify my choice of Hugo in my head.
Just think about it.
Yeah.
Like you're following a narrative.
You're by the numbers. Yeah. Again, this is a really tough one. Batista, by the numbers, I think it's you can't pick against Batista, but I feel like Hugo has a real shot, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Hugo hit like a flash sub just because he's done it. I mean, when Hugo wins, routinely it's by flash sub. I feel like Batista
it's different when you're trying to punch up. When you're trying to punch up, like you go into defense mode a little bit, and like we've seen that happen to Hugo. Like,
we have seen him get shut down here and there.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard. Yeah,
it's hard.
I want to pick Hugo, but I think by the numbers, you're right. Emil with the.
I'm just that's just what I mean.
Yeah, I think by the numbers, it's really hard to pick against Batista here. But again, there's always upsets in these brackets. There's always like crazy wild stuff that happens.
And part of the reason why these brackets are so awesome is that these fighters are really unpredictable and exciting.
Yeah.
And
like Third Coast
a bunch of these guys are so hungry.
They picked good guys to go against. Like none of these guys are sit, wait, play the points games. They're all like, I'm looking to do good jiu-jitsu and like
incredible jiu-jitsu.
I feel like we're not going to see a tech fall here.
Yeah, it would be. I don't think we are either. I agree. I don't think anyone.
Like if anyone
if anyone does, it's Batista versus Tanner Rice. But
I feel like Rice can play a really good positionally defensive game to prevent the scoring. Is the only thing. But again, if you're going to see it, I feel like Batista has the tools to get it done.
Yeah.
Here.
But yeah, I mean, all of these guys are super entertaining. So
I'm excited about that. Third Coast Grappling also has a bunch of other great matches on that card as well. Usually, like between rounds, they have super fights. We have a match between. Oh, I've lost my place in my notes. Between Zach Edwards and Justin Rennick. We just saw Justin Rennick versus William Tackett on Fight to Win for the brown belt title, and we've covered Zach Edwards a bunch on Fight to Win on SIGC, on a bunch of other events. That's actually a really well matched matchup. I'm super excited. Mona Bailey's on the card. Looks like a super fun card. They always are. I'm excited for it. Anything else? Any closing thoughts?
Mm-mm.
All right. That's also on Flow on the 20th. So on Fight Pass, we have Submission Underground
15.
Man, the Roman numerals throw me off every single time.
So this is happening Sunday, June 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Nice early card. Thank you, Sug, for that one.
And this is a fucking amazing bracket too. Like this is a weekend of amazing jiu-jitsu.
This is a weekend of like crazy. It's like we're back to normal. Like there's crazy shit every weekend.
This is an 8-man bracket for $10,000.
Yep. And a shot at Craig Jones.
Yep.
This is the 10K who's going to fight Craig Jones bracket.
Yep. And off the bat, we have Cody Steele versus Varela.
Andy Varela.
Andy Varela,
Yeah,
thank
Andy
you.
Varela. I'm less familiar with him. We cover Steele every weekend at this point.
Yep.
We know Steele's game really well. Top, nice wrestling. Again, so let's talk about SUG. SUG is not a points game.
Right.
SUG is EBI rules, and I think they're doing the same thing. They are doing the 5 minutes, then to overtime. So it's a short round. So a lot of these guys, again, how I think most of these matches would go in a point setting, in the EBI setting, in the SUG rule set, may look very, very different because you have guys that could potentially not get submitted in regulation that are really good on the back, really good with the arm, can punch up significantly in this kind of bracket. And it really throws an X factor in.
Yep.
So, again, I want to pick Steele here, but EBI rules, again, I know Steele on All Tackett Bros train the EBI rule set really frequently. So I think that they're probably we also see a lot of rear naked chokes from those guys. I'm picking him here, but EBI is a monkey wrench.
Yep. Next up, we have Mason Fowler versus Warren Brooks. Mason Fowler having the ridiculously entertaining ADCC
versus
run.
Craig Jones.
Yep, versus Craig Jones. Damn near fucking won that match too.
Mm-hmm. And there's an argument for him getting some points there that he didn't get awarded.
Yep.
Again, he gets submitted off the mat by Craig, and I was like, Matt's side for that, and it was fucking dope.
Yeah, but he was up.
Yeah, he was in there.
He was winning.
Like, he was in contention. Like, that's honestly a rematch that I want to see.
Mason got to ADCC by winning trials, so
Yes.
he's a motherfucker.
He's top level.
Yeah.
So again, I think that Fowler takes that, and we see in the
I
first
agree.
side of the bracket there, we see Steele versus Fowler.
Yeah,
That's
and I'm picking Fowler on this.
But remember, Steele just took out Alec Balding at the last at who's number one. Like, he already beat an East Coast Trials winner. Can he beat the West Coast Trials winner?
Nothing against Alec Balding, but like Fowler made a statement with how he performed at ADCC. You know, and
both guys are top level, but Fowler, like, his performance at ADCC showed that, like, he is one of the standout trials.
He can
winners.
actually get up on Craig Jones.
Yeah,
like
that was really impressive. And that's where we had to see Craig in passing. We had to see like other depths in Craig's game we don't see as much, and he was forced to go to because Fowler put him there.
Exactly.
I think this is a really exciting match. I feel like it's going to be a lot of wrestling with the cage involved. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know how either guy's cage wrestling is, and I feel like it will be a factor in here because I know
Mason
Steele's going to
is
stand.
a fucking brawler, dude. He is a high intensity guy, and I definitely would.
Cody Steele, a combat jiu-jitsu champion.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, both guys can scrap. I'm curious to see how much the cage wrestling, because I feel like we're going to see cage wrestling because both guys will wrestle.
Right.
So again, I'm kind of leaning towards Fowler just because
who
he
was
has
Fowler's
a
first match against an ADCC? Was it BB Monstro?
Might have been.
I think it was BB Monstro, and I think that was a ridiculously fire match as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of turn here. But I think Monstro was 88. I think Fowler. I know Fowler was 88 because I remember the match with Craig, and that was at under 88 kilograms for ADCC. And it was fire. And if you have not watched it, if you're not familiar with Fowler, like, go back and watch that match in particular, and it kind of speaks to what Fowler can do as a grappler and like where he can go. He was at one point in that match basically up on Craig Jones, and that's not a whole lot of guys can do that and put Craig in danger like that. So that speaks to how good Fowler is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You pull it up or no?
I'm trying to pull it up right now. Valdir.
I can never spell Valdir's last name.
Yeah.
Like, BB Monstro, thank you for an easy nickname. That Valdir Arujo. Because I don't know if like you roll the R or how exactly you pronounce the last name.
Let's see. So
Emil finds the bracket.
Mason Fowler.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I remember that correctly.
So he took out BB in the first match of ADCC.
And that was a scrambly ass wrestling style match. So yeah, I'm picking Fowler here for sure.
So we have Fowler taking the A side of the bracket then. So on the B side of the bracket,
Roberto
really
Jimenez.
interesting matchup.
Yep. Roberto Jimenez. Again, we're seeing a lot of the same guys over and over again. Versus Nathan Orchard.
See Nathan Orchard do well. And so again, Nathan Orchard is the guy that is the X factor here because he's so familiar with the EBI rule set. He's a 10th planet guy. We've seen him. We saw him beat AJ Agazarm at SUG. Like, he played defensive. He got to the regulation. That was even a longer regulation match. And then he finishes Agazarm by rear naked choke in in overtime, and I couldn't use the audio because Josh yelled so much. Because we actually did it live. We were doing the show and we paused. We actually kept recording the show while it was happening live, and then I couldn't use any of the audio. That was EDI. That was SUG 6, I think. So again, I feel like this is an interesting match for a couple reasons because it's no-gi, and we just saw Jimenez kind of leave his legs out a little bit this last weekend.
Yeah.
And Orchard is looking for one thing.
Yep.
I mean, he's looking for the dead Orchard. He's also looking for the heel hooks.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see how Jimenez, because again, Jimenez I think can definitely outscore Orchard.
I don't think Nathan can dead Orchard Roberto.
I don't think he can either. I think Jimenez stays on top, maybe gets to the back, but I think this one probably goes to overtime. You had a different thought about this match.
Yeah, so I mean, what we've seen is Jimenez, when he subs quick.
Yeah.
It's
last SUG, it was 15 seconds, something like that. This weekend,
just
it was
in general, like
20 seconds.
Yeah, he is not a established control position type submission hunter. He is a flash submission hunter, and so he gets them a lot. I'd say.
I want to revise my pick here. I think he subs in regulation.
Yeah.
I think triangle or armbar or something
I will say
like that.
if it goes out of regulation, then I think it tilts towards Nathan just because he's so familiar. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he knows how to ride. He knows how to ride the position well.
Given that, I would say that's probably Nathan's strategy. So I would be surprised if he wasn't playing really defensive.
He's gonna sit. He's gonna elbows real nice and tight in. And I think you're gonna force Jimenez to have to jump over.
Yep.
Orchard's gonna go for the legs. I think it goes regulation. If maybe Jimenez can counter and go to the back here.
Yep.
But I feel like if Jimenez can't sub early. Goes regulation.
But then as you brought up a really good point, which is that Jimenez was leaving his legs out a lot, and against someone like Nathan Orchard, that is a liability.
Yeah.
He's excellent at them. I can definitely see that as a pathway to victory. So very compelling matchup. Hard to pick. Next up we have Adam Bradley versus Hunter Colvin.
Yep. This is I'm actually really excited about this. This is of the matches on this. This is the one that I have. Like, I have no idea how this is going to go because Nathan Bradley, we covered him a while back on Subspectrum, I think, where he hit that it's called a Scorpion Deathlok, where he basically sat from reverse Keisagatame and hit like a mirror lock, like a reverse Americana from like his back. Look at on the Grappling Rewind. It's called Scorpion Deathlok. There's a highlight, and it's Adam Bradley Scorpion Deathlok.
I remember it happening because I remember the name, but I can't remember the match.
It's a crazy finishing sequence. It's a reverse Americana where he basically steps over and then finishes it like this from like where you both laying flat on their back. It's an absurd finishing sequence, and he's had some really good matches. We've covered him other times on the show, but that's the one, if you listen to the Grappling Rewind, that you've heard us talk about him before on the show. Hunter Colvin, again, looked really good. We saw him, who's number one, last weekend. Look good from all phases of the fight. I'm really curious about this one. Again, both guys can fight in all phases of the fight. This is definitely both guys going to push the pace. I have no idea who's going to take this one again.
Yep.
So it's like I kind of want to lean Colvin because I've seen more from him recently, and he looked so good at who's number one. But again, we've seen like spectacular stuff from Bradley in the past too.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard for me to pick.
I think Jimenez. I think Jimenez takes that side of the bracket. I can see honestly all four guys on that side of the bracket having a pathway to victory in this format. Again, being such a short regulation time, It goes to the overtime, and then all guys on that side of the bracket are super good.
Yep.
And so it's hard to pick against it. It's hard to like pick in 5 minutes can one sub the other. So you get Mason Fowler versus I'm gonna go Jimenez. I think it probably goes overtime, and I feel like that Fowler gets it done.
I think in Nogi, I
want to favor Fowler and Nogi again. So we're gonna see, super exciting bracket.
Yep.
I think we'll see Fowler take the 10K and then fight Craig Jones again.
Sug's matchmaking has gotten excellent. I gotta say, this is a very impressive bracket. Yeah,
like it's top loaded with great grapplers that put on exciting matches. It's a good format. The 5 minutes is gangster too. Those are short matches. So
it's my jam, dude.
Yeah, I think we'll get dude, the 5 and 6 minute matches. Like, I love them because the guys like, cool. I have 6 minutes of gas. I can run at this pace.
Right.
So yeah. That's my pick. I'm way less confident in this bracket than I have been in the past couple weeks for brackets. But yeah, it's good.
That means it's a good bracket.
Yeah. So you got anything else?
No, that's it.
Sweet. I got nothing else. Any plans? Any good plans for the week?
No, it's a pretty chill week, so I can't complain. Just getting finally back into yoga again because I pinched my nerves. So, but that's mostly gone. So
I'm gonna get new running shoes because my friend, who is a medical doctor guy, said, "Hey, you should get new running shoes if you're running like as much as you're running and you haven't gotten new shoes in 4 years. It's probably why your leg is all sore because you don't have good shoes." So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." So that's on my docket for the week of like prioritize recovery and then keep like slowly increasing the running distance.
Yep.
So that I can get back in crazy shape. So that once everything in the world calms down and gets less corona-y, which it's getting very corona-y right now.
Yeah, especially, I mean, like, looking at Texas and stuff, like, stay safe, be safe when training. Yeah, because we're definitely not through this stuff yet.
Nope, we went into phase 2, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, might not be seeing you for a little bit, Emil. Depends on, we'll figure it out, but... yeah, the show is at least the audio is better on the show, which I'm super happy about.
Yeah, it makes Maine's life a whole lot easier.
It literally cuts doing the show in person. Probably cuts 3.5 hours of editing out of my week.
Yep.
It is so I appreciate that that we can do it for now until we make a judgment call and figure out what's the best approach for us. You should do the same for you.
Yep.
Enjoy some dope ass grappling this weekend.
Yep, exactly. There's a whole bunch coming up. So,
dude, we're back. I'm super happy about it. I hope that like we keep getting absolute fire cards like we have been.
Yeah.
Like there's not been an off week where it's like, oh, there's so much jiu-jitsu, but it's all so good. So I think like next week's show is gonna be a long one. So strap in for it. Any closing thoughts? Anything else?
Mm-mm.
All right. So as always in the show, I'm your host Mange. I'm my co-host
Emil.
We are the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats whenever that is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.